Hello YouTube slash Tumblr followers, although it'll probably be mostly Tumblr followers due to YouTube's new layout thing, which sucks, by the way. As you can see, I have moved yet again. My surroundings have changed. I was up in Minneapolis for like a year and I moved again. Things weren't working out, etc. So it's about time I do a update video slash Q&A because I keep getting all these questions and I'm kind of getting bombarded. Let's answer some questions, shall we? Alright, the number one question I always get all the time is where do I get my materials? Mostly foam, plastic canvas, that sort of thing. Foam you can find at Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Hancock's. They usually have it by the roll. Lots and lots of this stuff in all different kinds of thicknesses and stuff. So, plastic canvas, mass fun foam, polymer clay, you can find it pretty much any craft store will have that. Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, etc., etc. Plastic canvas is found with all of the cross stitch and the needlepoint kind of knitting area. Because people are like, oh, I can't find it. Well, that's where it is. Fur, I really recommend that you get your fur online. There's lots of good websites out there like fabric.com and Distinctive Fabric that will send you really nice swatches. And Distinctive Fabric will send 5 of them for free. So sign up for their thing, get some free swatches, figure out what you need. You can get it firsthand and look at it and say, do I really want this? That way you're not like, oh, it looks right, but when you order it, it's like, oh, this is crap. Joann's fabric department when it comes to fur is that really cheap Barbie hair crap that I have a strong distaste for. It really makes, unless you know how to work with it, it just makes your project look like crap. Some higher end fabric stores would have nicer stores. Like when you get up to about $20 per yard of fur, that's when it's the good stuff. I mean, obviously feel it and look at it and make sure that's what you want. If you're putting a lot of work into your project, why not make the fur look nice too? Okay, another question I get is, will you make a tutorial for X, Y, or Z? Maybe, if I have the time, I will. Otherwise, the internet is a thing. There's plenty of tutorials out there. You don't need me doing it, but I can do a tutorial if you really, really want me to. Another question I get a lot, or rather comment, is that I can just stick a fan in one of my heads and make it cooler, but I don't really want to do that because it's a pain in the ass, quite frankly. So I just want to keep my head simple, so no fans. Maybe eventually, but no fans for now. I show the patterns for my jaw and muzzle. Yes, I will put them in the description. I'll link them to a photo bucket or something so you guys can have references of the jaw patterns. Alright, this one kind of made me laugh. People ask how my jaw is attached. I'll take Sasha here. Take her collar off. My heads are different from most head constructions. Take off the neck and oh my god, the jaw is separate. That's how I get such great motion. It's because it's completely separate from the head. And that way, when you have the head on your head, and you're like, oh man, I really need to take a breather, you can just flip it up. My friends have started calling it Iron Man style heads, so apparently that's a thing. So there, I just took all the mystery out of it. Jaw is completely separate to give you better range of motion. How much fur do I need for my suit? Well, it depends on how your design is, how big your suit is, how much you're going to buff it out with foam. If you're going 3/4, if you're going half suit, if you're going full suit, how big your character's tail is, you know, things like that. I mean, when it comes to projects like this, I like to overestimate rather than underestimate, because you'd rather have too much than not enough. Because it sucks when you don't have enough and then you try and go back and get more and either there isn't more or the colors change. So definitely overestimate. I mean, don't go and order 10 yards of fur unless you're going to use it all. I also get a lot of comments about how strong my construction is. I've had Sasha for almost 4 years now, and she's pretty damn tough. I mean, I wouldn't sit on her or anything, but you wouldn't do that with a fursuit head anyway. She's held up pretty well. She's only chipped a tooth in the 3 years that I've had her. I would never rough house and suit because you just don't do that. Some of these suits are like thousands and thousands of dollars. You don't do that. That's common fursuit etiquette. Basically, ball cap method, and then add the muzzle and of course the jaw. So, really simple. Attach a neck to the head, and there you go. I realize that my suit heads aren't the strongest thing in the world, but they're a lot tougher than people give them credit for. Also, comments about washing my fursuit. When it comes to the head, obviously normal fursuit washing, simple. Wash it in cold water, let it soak if you need to, simple. Sasha's head is hand painted, so I can't get her wet, really. If she got any dirt or anything on her, I would have to just spot wash her. But when it comes to Tom, all of his seams are hand sewn. His stripes are actually sewn. It's actually fur, it's not painted on. So I could wash him a little bit more vigorously than I could wash, say, Sasha. But when it comes to normal fursuit washing, live journal, they have a whole big thing on how to care for your fursuit. Also, there's plenty of video tutorials out there, so I'm not going to bother with that. Can you tell me how to X fill in the blank? Listen guys, Google's a thing. Just look it up first. Am I open to commissions? No, not at this time. I am only working on personal projects and commissions from friends because I don't feel I'm ready to do commissions for complete strangers yet. I might do hand paws, ears, tails, feet, simple things, but not heads. Definitely not heads, because I don't know how to scale everything yet, because I have a tiny head, so I'm just used to building heads for my tiny head. Basically, I just want more practice before I go out and sell people my suits. Tom has really given me a lot of insight. I've improved a lot. Sasha was my first, and then Tom is now my second fursuit that I've completed. And I made a lot of improvements with Tom, but I didn't do with Sasha, because Sasha was my first head and I was still learning, etc., like everybody. You should just use upholstery foam like everybody else. No. And what I mean by this is I should just construct my head completely out of foam. I choose to do my heads this way because it works for me. If you need a quick breather, you can just flip the top back and get water or whatever you need to do. There's nothing technically wrong with my build. I like it. It works for me. It's basically a modified ball cap build is what it is. Some people prefer balaclava or just straight up out of foam. You can make your fursuit out of whatever you want. Resin, foam, canvas, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make it any less of a head than anyone else. It may not be as indestructible as resin, but it's lightweight, it works for me, it's a little bit more breathable. Also, I like to mention when I say green is the good stuff, I mean this stuff, which is high density foam. I prefer high density foam because foam eventually over time will break down and crumble and get nasty. High density foam will take longer to do that, and it holds its shape better, and I just like working with it better than this stuff. I mean, this stuff's fine for some stuff. You can use it if you want. I don't really like to because it feels awful. Also, it crumbles easily and I just don't like working with it. But when it comes to the durability of my heads, it's foam on canvas and then fur glued over that. It's pretty tough. Back to what I was saying about my first fursuit I am learning about. Sasha was my first. I made her 3 years ago. I did so much research before I even picked up any supplies to start. And it helps that I took ceramics classes both in high school and college, so I learned how to take 2-dimensional and make it into 3-dimensional. You can be brilliant on paper or canvas or 2-dimensional all you want, but when it comes from going to 2D to 3D, it's a whole nother ballgame. And even so, learning how to sculpt and turn 2D into 3D, I still made a lot of mistakes with Sasha because it's my first head and you're gonna make mistakes with that. One is that I put her eyes up too high and they're kind of hard to see out of. I mean, I can kind of see out of her, but the vision is very limited when it comes to this Sasha head. It doesn't help that she has feline slit eyes, so there's not much canvas to see through. And some people say, well, oh, you can use buckram for that. And I didn't want to use buckram because I wanted it to be as realistic as possible. Obviously, I've gotten better with my eyes with Tom here. I glazed his eyes over so they'd be nice and shiny and more realistic. And I actually hand painted the irises. Sasha's forehead is very flat. I realized that most felines do have flat foreheads, but I wanted her to have at least a little bit of brow definition. I mean, maybe not as much as Tom, but I wanted her to have more than she does have. I don't like how flat her face is. Before, I found out an easier way to make hand paws also. These are my first hand paws for Sasha, obviously, because she's my first fursuit. They're really simple pattern. It's 2 pieces sandwiched together, hand sewn all the way around, and then cut out leather and hand stitch it to the paws, which was a complete huge pain in the butt. And when I made paws for my friend Jessie, I found a whole easier way to make them when it comes to the paw pads, and it works so much better and it looks great. So I'll be using that. I want to make another set of hand paws because these are a little worn out. I used Model Magic for her gums. Never ever again. That was a terrible idea. I don't know why I thought it would work. Tom has paper clay gums, and that works so much better, and it's easier to paint, and it looks better, and it doesn't break away and crumble like Model Magic does. I will never use Model Magic ever again for gums. Alright, on Sasha 2.0, which I am working on, right behind me, I have improved her brow bones. She has better eyes. I can see out of them a little bit better. Obviously she's feline and I can't really help her pupils. I'm actually going to try and do the ears while they're on the head. This one, I completed Sasha, and then I hand stitched her ears to her afterwards. I mean, it's fine, it worked okay, but I want to try this. I've experimented a lot with design and construction, so I think that she will turn out much better than version 1.0. 1.0 will be retired. Then I'll just use 2.0 for my new fursuit. I'd really like to learn how to resin cast eventually, do LED glowing eyes and that sort of thing. I think that would be really cool to integrate into my fursuits. Maybe even make resin slush cast molds for heads for the base. Eventually I may plan on making a quad suit of Sasha, but that is a whole nother can of sardines. I don't even know where to begin when it comes to quad suits because the head has to be sitting differently on your head. It has to be like on a helmet because otherwise it looks like the costume has no neck. Also, foaming is going to be a little difficult in shaping the body and that sort of thing, but eventually I'll get to that adventure. My current project right now is finishing Tom, and I'm almost finished with him. I have his shirt done here. I finished that last night. All 26 of his stripes are hand stitched into the shirt. And then he has 2 tails. He has one wire-based tail that's posable. It's a little bit longer. And then one chain-based tail for dancing. So yeah, like Sasha's chain-based tail. And his hand paws, which need claws yet. I was waiting on fursuit parts from Manuyasha, which I got a couple days ago. So I will be running to the hobby store this weekend to get claws for his paws. And the only thing I have left for Tom is his feet. I have the base ready. I am waiting on foam for the bottom because Lombaxes don't have paw pads to stand on. So instead of getting the bottoms of his feet all dirty, I'm just going to put like rigid foam on the bottom. These are sock paws, Lombax style. So Tom is almost finished, and then I am also working on Jean. Gene is a German Shepherd, and he has a squeaker in his nose. And he's going to be super, super adorbs when he is done. He's almost ready for furring. I am waiting on fur samples, and then I will order fur for him and get him done. He's only going to be about a half suit. Feet, hands, tail, and the head. I hope to get all of these projects done before Anime Blast Chattanooga this year, which is in November. And my goal was to get at least Tom done, and I just about have him finished. The feet aren't really necessary, but I want them, so Tom is almost done. ABC's right around the corner. I'm really excited to debut Tom there. Also, I'm hoping to finish Sasha 2.0 so I can bring her as well. But I had actually planned to do this video. Tom was actually supposed to be my other character, Mira, but I decided to turn him into Tom because for some reason I made Tom to be out an asshole and everybody loves Tom, so I decided to make Tom. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm the only white Lombax fursuit out there right now. There aren't very many Lombax fursuits. There's maybe, I think there's 5 or 6 that I know of. I mean, there could be more, but they're just not online or I haven't seen them yet. But I think I'm the only white Lombax so far. For Sasha 2.0, I will be painstakingly all of her stripes like I did with Tom. Tom was an experiment. I didn't want to paint all of his stripes because he's kind of stripy and that would be a pain in the butt. Not only that, but when you dry brush or airbrush a fursuit, you can't get it wet. It can't be in the rain, you can't get it wet, and it's just a pain to take care of. And you gotta make sure you brush it out and it doesn't stick or get clumpy because then it looks like crap. So with 2.0, instead of like 1.0, I will be hand stitching all of the stripes, and I think it will turn out really nice that way. So now I am surrounded by fursuit heads. I've got 4 and possibly another in the making soon, I don't know. For some reason it seems easier when you're working on more than one head at a time, because when one is drying, you can work on another one, and it's like painting, it's just easier. Alright, well I think that's about it for this update. If I decide to add anything else, I'll just make another video. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you around. Bye. Here, Sasha, have a job.